Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. And the Rajasthan Royals have beaten the Royal Challengers Bengaluru by 4 wickets and will be facing SRH in Qualifier 2. On the 11th of both sides, starting off with the Rajasthan Royals, they retained the combination they went with against the Punjab Kings a few matches ago in the league stage. I was surprised they didn't play Keshav Maharaj once again, where in the league phase game against RCB in Jaipur they didn't play. Given what we saw Mitchell Santner do against Virat Kohli in RCB's previous match, I thought Keshav Maharaj bowling in the power play in this match, you could have vouched for him to keep Kohli in check during the power play phase, so I was very surprised they didn't play him. But I think he's only played one game this season, and even in that match he bowled only 2 overs, so they haven't used him bowled this season, even when they haven't played 4 overseas players. And the Royal Challengers Bengaluru, I thought they should have made one change. They didn't do that, but I'll say this again. Vijay Kumar, in terms of what he will offer with the ball, will do far better than what Lockie Ferguson is offering. And he scored first-class centuries recently. He can hit a long ball at the end. There's nothing that you'll gain from playing Lockie Ferguson ahead of Vijay Kumar in their current guises. But they still went with 4 overseas players rather than the 3 overseas players. Sanju Samson won the toss and elected to field first. Now, I'd said in the previous match where, and it's been debated at times, where since the Sunrisers Hyderabad, they only had 2 bankable players, Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma, that they should have elected to field first. In my view, since the Rajasthan Royals have got very good bowling resources and a good batting lineup, and considering who they were up against, I thought Sanju Samson winning the toss and choosing to field first wasn't such a bad decision. And in terms of how the power play went, I've said many times in venues such as Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Bengaluru, if you get to 45 for 1 after 6 overs, it would be a good power play as a batting side. I think the first of now Trent Boult only went for 6 runs in the 3 overs that he bowled up front. Is the correct decision to bowl him 3 in the power play. Sandeep Sharma bowling the second over, and he was uncharacteristically expensive in the innings, but he went for a few runs in the second over. And this is where not playing Keshav Maharaj meant the power play was relinquished, where Trent Boult's only gone for 6 runs in his first 3, and you're bowling Avesh Khan on the power play, which is not a correct move. I'd even said in the video reviewing the CSK versus RCB game where spin at both ends up front, Mitchell Santner and Mahesh Deekshana would have been the correct way to go. Instead, Shardul Thakur was brought on the second over, and you saw what happened. In this case, there was no need to bring Avesh Khan on the third over. The moment I saw that, I knew he was going to go for runs. And in the end, RCB, despite the fact that Faf du Plessis' wicket was lost because of a fantastic catch from Rovman Powell, 50 for 1 in 6 overs, I thought RCB won that power play convincingly. There are 2 things here. Firstly, in the absence of Woojacks, does this batting lineup look as strong when you had a top 4 before of Kohli, du Plessis, Woojacks, Patidar? You could expect at least one of those 4 to either set things up for someone and also continue along their way. And you saw in the previous match where even in the absence of Woojacks, because of the opening partnership of 78 in around 10 overs, the foundation was set where I think Kohli got 47, Faf du Plessis 54, and then you saw Patidar and Green accelerate throughout the middle phase, and RCB got to the score that they got to. In this case, by the 10th over, both the openers are dismissed, and as I've said in other grounds where I've suggested the same template, followed the same template, 85 for 2 and 10 overs would be a satisfactory score as a batting side. But with RCB's lineup with both their openers dismissed, you're 76 for 2 and 10, you're slightly behind. And the reason why, especially after winning the power play convincingly, the reason why they couldn't get away from Rajasthan was that bit more was because a fantastic spell from Boult and Ashwin, 2 for 19 is 4, and rightfully judged the man of the match. The way he was hitting his lengths was great to see. And I felt something that aided his fluency when he was bowling was that we saw in the game in the league phase between these 2 sides in Jaipur, Ashwin and Chahal were bowling very well just after the power play. Ashwin was bowling a lot of current balls, and for some reason he was taken off when he was bowling well, and the spinners are bowled at the death, and that's why RCB got to that 183 in my view. We've seen Sanju Samson has bowled the spinners for 8 overs no matter what, which has been great to see. Other sides haven't been doing that as much. In this case, Ashwin bowled almost consecutively 2 for 19 and 4. And by the time the 13th over was about, he was bowled out because the captain saw that he was bowling well. So I think it was the correct decision to bowl him out at that point in time, and we saw the impact that he created and rightfully adjudged the man of the match. I don't understand why Cameron Green was sent out ahead of Rajat Patidar. I think the wicket fell on the 28th delivery of the innings, meaning there are only 8 deliveries to go until the power play comes to a close. Is Cameron Green going to face all those 8 deliveries? No, he isn't. And if you're holding Rajat Patidar back for some reason against the spinners, well, the spinners were going to start bowling out at the end of the power play, and we know that Sanju Samson has been bowling the spinners for 8 overs no matter what through that middle phase. And I just didn't understand why they sent Green out ahead of Patidar, where 27 or 21, he hit a 4 and a 6 off Chahal. Yes, Ashwin bowled well, but you saw Cameron Green did struggle against him. We know Ashwin has got a good record against Patidar. I think before this match, 22 runs off 20, I think 20 off 22, where it kept him at bay. And Patidar at the end finished on 34 off 22. Had he walked out earlier, I'd said 85 for 2. I think they would have got that if Patidar had walked out at number 3. And had he had more time in the crease, then maybe we would have seen a few more runs being scored. I didn't think there was a need to send Cameron Green at 3 just because it sent Bo Jacks at 3 when he was present. And I'd said 76 for 2 in 10 overs. From then on, 97 for 4. This was the point in time where I talked about players that set things up or continue on along themselves, or players who capitalize on the foundation set. And someone who fits into the latter bracket is Graham Maxwell. A terrible shot played. It's been described as a brain fade by many. And just after, I think for the third day, Cameron Green was dismissed. In the very next delivery, Maxwell's got a very good record against Ashwin Striker, almost 200 against him. He was dismissed after playing a terrible shot. And then and there, I thought the match was over for RCB, because you've got to leave wickets at the end at this venue, where RCB got to 122 for 5 after 15 overs. And as I just said, because they had lost many wickets and they couldn't get the finishing kick they wanted to when I think Lomrod and Dinesh Karthik were batting, they got to under par 172, where I thought they were 30 runs short at the point of the interval. And I'll say this again, had Vishek Vijayakumar played ahead of Lockie Ferguson, would he on his worst day have gone for 37 and 4 overs and defending the score? Yes, he would have done. But would he have been able to walk out at the end and score a few runs given the form he's been in with a bat in the domestic season? Yes, he could have done. So I don't understand why they've been sidelining a performer when Lockie Ferguson, even on his best days, gone at 9 over 2 for 27 and 3, I think was his best performance on the top of my head against the Punjab Kings. Apart from that, against CSK, he bowled 2 head height no balls. And I thought the 2 overs that he bowled, momentum was given to CSK. We went for 37 in 2 of the overs that he bowled. So really, I didn't really understand why Vijay Kumar was sidelined for this game as well, but I knew they'd make that decision. And the Rajasthan Royals bowling, Trent bowled the way he set the tone up front, only going for 6 runs in his first 3 overs is fantastic. Sandeep Sharma uncharacteristically expensive. Avesh Khan, where he'd given 30 runs in his first 2 overs, bowled a terrible delivery to dismiss Rajat Patidar. But after that point, he gained a bit of confidence, only went for 14 runs in his last 2 overs. Ashwin, fantastic, rightfully the man of the match. And Yuzvendra Chahal, I was a bit disappointed in, because 1 for 15 in 2, dismissing Virat Kohli at that point in time. And he's been known to give the ball a bit of air balls at that slower pace, but especially the way he was bowling to Rajat Patidar, he was bowling wider, not giving the ball air, and it was full. And it was very poor bowling, I thought, in his last 2 overs, where he went for 28 in his last 2. So considering all that, the Rajasthan Royals only giving 172 for 8, which I thought was under par by quite some bit. They would have been feeling happy going into the innings break. On the second innings, I know there were a couple of opportunities when Yashasvi Jaiswal was dropped by Cameron Green early on when he should have taken that catch, although it seemed like a difficult catch. And Glenn Maxwell, yes, it didn't cost as much after that point, but he dropped a sitter off Tom Kohler-Cadmore. But in terms of the bowling options used, Swapnil Singh bowls a 2-run over up front, and he isn't bowled for a while after that. And the time when he's been given the ball for a second over is when Aset Yashasvi Jaiswal and Sanju Samson, two of the best players of spin in the competition, are batting. And I think in the first ball that he bowled in a second over, the only boundary Sanju Samson hit in his innings, and it went for 6 over mid-wicket. So I thought it was an incredibly poor move after he'd given 2 runs in his first over to bowl them quite a while after in a second over when you've got those 2 batsmen there. Glenn Maxwell, 1 for 25 and 4 in the previous match, doesn't bowl in this one. Why? Probably because of matchups, which I don't get. And if you're looking at the Rajasthan Royals batting, 47 for 1 at this venue, and I said 45, that too when chasing an under-par score. It was a very good power play for them. They won it convincingly. Rajasthan Royals didn't make it easy for themselves. Yashasvi Jaiswal, when the score was on 81 and 9 overs played, and unnecessary shots off Cameron Green. He was furious at himself for it. Sanju Samson, it showed that the 2 prior deliveries from Karan Sharma were bowled on a good length. In the third run, he looked to go down the track and got stumped off a wide. Unnecessary when the score was 86 for 2 after 9.5, and there was no way you were going to lose the game from that point in time. And Dhruv Jurel, in my view, more of the hand broke the stumps than the ball from Cameron Green, and that's why I would have been inclined to give that not up, but the decision was given in favour of the fielding side. And there was another controversial decision in the first innings where it seemed as if the bat hit the pad and Dinesh Karthik should have been dismissed. And in my view, on what happened in the first innings, there's been a technology that was used quite a few years ago, the hotspot technology, that could reduce ambiguity on this matter rather than relying on the Snicker as well as the, just visually looking at the scene. And they haven't been using that technology for a while now, so we've seen a few cases when the batsmen have received the benefit of the doubt in situations where probably the bowling side should have got the wicket. So that is something that could be considered, but I don't know whether that technology would be implemented back into the game. And for those saying, oh, you needed an impact sub, well, if Keshav Maharaj had played along with Ashwin and Chahal, would RCB have got 170? I think the 2 that they got to, no, they wouldn't have done. They got 172 for it, yes. And you've got a lineup of Jaiswal, Kohler-Cadmore, Sanju Samson, Riyan Parag, Dhruv Jurel, pretend Roman Powell at 6, Ashwin at 7. If you've got to use more batting to get to an under-par score against this attack, then you're not doing things right. You're making things more difficult for yourself. So, would the Rajasthan Royals have been chasing this kind of score if Keshav Maharaj had played and bowled in the power play? No, they wouldn't have been. So that's a point to consider. But after losing 4 matches in a row and the recent game against KKR being rained off, not many would have expected Rajasthan to win today. I didn't expect them to, yet they outplayed RCB comprehensively. And I think they should be very happy with themselves going to the next match. I feel they'll beat the Sunrisers. And considering that after a slump for a few games, if you find yourself playing the final, then I think you should be very happy with the effort. So best of luck to them. And for RCB, they've entertained us greatly since that one lost 7 reading after 8 matches. Winning 6 games prior to this was a tremendous achievement and will remain the greatest comeback story into the playoffs. Unfortunately, they didn't get things right today tactically. Things didn't materialize for them, even though I thought they would win this game. But I think they can still feel happy with their recovery from where they were. This is the last match of Dinesh Karthik's IPL career and maybe professional career, we'll have to see. But I think it may even be his last professional match. So he's been a player who I've always had a soft spot for. I felt he was scapegoated after the 2022 T20 World Cup and he was dropped when he was doing well. He didn't have a great season the prior year and I felt bad for him because I thought after that drop he wasn't the same. And since he was in a position to be selected for the T20 World Cup, which is coming up now, and yet another comeback on the cards with the season that he's had, I think he's been an IPL great. Players such as him and Ambati Rado, you look forward to watching them bat in IPL seasons. They're storied players in this league, and I wish him all the best for his future. I feel the several iconic players, which he is certainly a part of that group, seeing those players retire, it is a bit sad because I feel they were the ones that cultivated interest from an earlier stage, but I wish him all the best. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?